She thought he wouldn't recognize her, until the cowboy smiled like he had known her forever. The twin suns of Arada hung low in the sky, painting the desert landscape in shades of gold and rose. The heat radiated off the sand, making the horizon shimmer like a mirage. Alara Quinn shaded her eyes with a hand gloved in worn leather and adjusted the strap of her satchel. After 10 long years traveling across distant star systems, she had finally returned to Nova Mesa, the desert colony where she had first stepped onto this strange world. The city sprawled across the plateau like a patchwork of human ambition and ingenuity. Solar panels and wind collectors crowned tall buildings of sandstone and metal. Crisscrossing, pathways connected markets, workshops, and homes in a maze of activity. Hover carts zipped along the streets and small drones hummed above, delivering supplies to the bustling crowd below. The air smelled faintly of spice, dust, and ozone, a mixture that made Alara feel both at home and foreign at once. Her boots crunched against the sand as she moved through the marketplace. Merchants called out in cheerful voices, advertising everything from glowing fruit to handcrafted gadgets. Children laughed as they chased small hover animals that floated a few inches above the ground. Yet amidst the vibrancy, Alara felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. She was searching for one person, Jax Riker. The memory of him was etched into her mind. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a smile that could make anyone feel like they belonged. He had been her protector when she first arrived on Arada, guiding her through the perils of the frontier and teaching her the ways of survival. But 10 years changed people. Would he even recognize her now? Alara adjusted her cloak against the desert wind and let her gaze wander toward the old trading post at the edge of the marketplace. Time seemed to slow as she approached. The building was sturdy, made from reinforced desert stone and brushed steel, and its wooden sign creaked gently in the wind. Riker's Trading Post. She paused outside, her heart pounding. Memories flooded her mind. The first time she had stepped into this place, scared and wide-eyed, Jax handing her a water flask and offering words of calm when the first sandstorm hit the colony. She swallowed hard, straightened her shoulders, and stepped inside. The interior smelled of leather, metal, and the faint sweetness of dried fruits. Shelves lined with tools, spices, and small mechanical parts created narrow aisles. A few locals browsed quietly, but most eyes turned to the figure behind the counter, Jax Riker. He was older, yes. The harsh desert sun had deepened the lines on his face, and his hands bore calluses from years of work. But it was him. The same confident posture, the same careful way of handling each item, the same calm, easy smile. He looked up from arranging a row of small tools, and his eyes caught hers. For a moment, Alara thought he might not recognize her. She had changed too. Years of space travel had hardened her features, and her hair was now pulled back into a practical braid, streaked with silver from the lights of distant starships. But then Jax's smile widened. It was the same smile she remembered from all those years ago, warm and inviting, carrying the quiet message, "I remember you. I know you." "Alara," he said, his voice calm but carrying a note of disbelief. "Is that really you?" She felt a laugh escape her lips, a mixture of relief and joy. "It's me," she replied. "I wasn't sure you'd remember." "I'd never forget," he said. His eyes softened as he stepped around the counter. "Not you, not for all the years the stars have spun." For a moment, neither spoke. The hum of the marketplace faded into the background, leaving only the weight of recognition, the pull of familiarity, and the silent joy of reunion. Alara realized how much she had missed this human connection, simple and unshakable even in the middle of a galaxy full of wonders and dangers. Jax gestured toward a small table by the window. "Sit. Tell me everything. You've been gone a long time." Alara nodded, lowering herself into the chair. She took a deep breath, savoring the small comfort of a familiar space, a familiar voice. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to feel the warmth of belonging. "I've seen so much," she began, her words spilling out in a rush. "The outer colonies, the drifting stations, the way humans keep building, no matter what the galaxy throws at us. I've never felt more proud and more lonely at the same time." Jax listened intently, his head tilted slightly. Every now and then he would nod, his expression reflecting both admiration and understanding. "You've been busy," he said, "but look at you still standing, stronger than ever. That's human, isn't it?" "We endure, we adapt, we keep going." Alara smiled faintly. "I learned from the best." The mention of learning from him made Jax chuckle. "I was just a cowboy in the desert. You've traveled stars, saved people, seen things I can't even imagine." "And I almost forgot the small things," Alara admitted. "Like the sound of the wind through the canyons here, or the way the market smells after a dust storm. I wanted to come back to see if you were still here, still part of this place." Jax leaned back, crossing his arms. "Some things don't change, Alara. The desert still has its storms, the market still has its noise, and some people never really leave our hearts." The sun sank lower outside, casting long shadows across the room. Hover carts zipped past the window, and the warm light made the dust in the air glow like tiny stars. Alara felt a sense of peace she hadn't known for years. Then Jax's expression shifted slightly, alert and focused. He pointed to a corner of the market where a group of traders were moving oddly, whispering and glancing around nervously. "We should keep an eye on things," he said. "The desert isn't as calm as it looks." Alara nodded. "Of course. But right now, I just want to enjoy this." For a few more moments, they sat in quiet companionship, speaking softly, laughing at old memories, and sharing the unspoken knowledge that humans, no matter how far they travel, always find their way back to the people who matter. As twilight descended, the first stars appeared above Arida 9. The colony lights blinked on, revealing a city alive with energy and hope. Alara realized that this place, with its dusty streets, makeshift buildings, and warm people, was still home. And standing there beside Jax Riker, she knew that no matter the distances across the stars, human bonds endured. They endured because of courage, kindness, and the quiet certainty that someone out there always remembered you. Alara's heart lifted. For the first time in a decade, she felt that she truly belonged. And as Jack smiled at her, she understood something deep and certain. Sometimes, the universe itself waits for humans to return to where they belong, reminding them that some connections are stronger than time, distance, or space. The next morning, the suns of Arida 9 rose slowly, casting pale orange light over the desert city. Alara awoke in a small guest room at the trading post. The walls were simple, lined with wooden panels and small shelves filled with trinkets from across the stars. She opened the window and breathed in the crisp desert air. For a moment, the memories of space travel, the endless corridors, the cold metal, the loneliness, faded away. She was home. Downstairs, Jax was already moving about the trading post. The soft creak of the floorboards told her he was on the move. She could see him organizing supplies, checking inventory, and speaking briefly to the traders who had begun arriving for the morning market. Humans were busy creatures, she thought. No matter the world, no matter the distance, they always found a way to keep moving forward. Alara dressed quickly in her practical desert attire, a light jacket, comfortable trousers, and boots sturdy enough to handle rough sand. She stepped into the marketplace, weaving through the morning crowd. She carried a small datapad, filled with notes from her travels and scientific research. Today, she was ready to explore the city she had missed for so long. Jax noticed her approaching and smiled. "You ready for a proper tour?" he asked, brushing his hands on a cloth. "Lead the way," she replied. The streets were alive with human ingenuity and perseverance. Traders displayed fruits that glowed faintly under the morning light, mechanical devices hummed quietly, and small robots scurried along delivering goods. Alara stopped to watch a young inventor demonstrate a miniature hover cart that balanced itself perfectly on the sand. She smiled. Humans had always been clever, adapting, creating, surviving. As they walked, Jax explained some of the new developments in the colony. "The market has grown," he said. "We've got hydro farms on the outskirts, energy panels along the canyon edges, and even a small library where people can share stories from other colonies." Alara listened intently. "It's amazing. I never thought this place could grow so much without regular supply from Earth." Jax shrugged. "Humans are stubborn. We find ways. We create solutions. That's what makes us, well, us." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden flurry of activity near the outer gate of the city. Traders were moving quickly, whispering to each other, and some children had stopped playing to watch the commotion. Jax's eyes narrowed. Something's going on. "Let's see what it is." They moved toward the gate and saw a small group of travelers arriving in a curious vehicle. It hovered slightly above the sand, its metallic body reflecting the sun's. The travelers were humans, but they looked worn and exhausted. Their vehicle carried supplies marked with symbols unfamiliar to Nova Mesa. One of the travelers, a young woman with a tired but determined expression, approached Jax. "We need help," she said. "Our settlement's water supply is failing. The desert is expanding faster than we can handle." Alara's eyes lit up. "A water shortage? That's serious. How far from here?" "2 days' travel," the woman replied. "If we don't stabilize it, the crops will fail and the settlement could be abandoned." Jax nodded thoughtfully. "Then we have work to do. Alara, you'll come with me. We can use your knowledge to help them." Alara felt a surge of excitement and purpose. She had always believed humans could overcome almost anything with intelligence and cooperation. This was a chance to prove it again. The journey to the struggling settlement was long and challenging. The desert stretched endlessly, dotted with jagged rock formations and shifting sand dunes. The suns beat down, but the human travelers were well prepared. Jax guided them with practiced skill, using landmarks and subtle signs in the terrain to navigate safely. Along the way, Alara observed how humans adapted to every challenge. They used lightweight water filtration systems, solar-powered devices, and efficient methods for moving supplies. Even the smallest children contributed, carrying messages or assisting with minor repairs. Humans were resourceful, she realized. They could take what they had and make it work, no matter how harsh the conditions. As they approached the settlement, Alara saw the damage firsthand. The water canals were partially collapsed, and some plants were wilting under the relentless sun. Children played in small shaded areas, but their laughter carried an edge of worry. Adults worked tirelessly, trying to reroute water and protect the crops, but it was clear they were struggling. Alara stepped forward, her voice calm but commanding. "We can fix this. First, we need to stabilize the water flow. Then we'll reinforce the canals and find new ways to store water efficiently." Jax nodded. "I've got the tools. You lead the plan, Lieutenant." Over the next hours, Alara and Jax coordinated the efforts. She instructed the settlers to dig temporary channels to redirect water from a nearby underground reservoir. Jax demonstrated techniques for building sand barriers and creating small filtration systems using local materials. Humans worked side by side, learning quickly and adapting as challenges arose. Alara marveled at their ingenuity. One young boy used a simple pulley system to move heavy stones. Another girl designed a funnel to capture even the smallest amount of water dripping from the canal. Every action, no matter how small, contributed to the solution. Humans, she realized, had a unique combination of intelligence, creativity, and cooperation that allowed them to thrive even in the harshest environments. By evening, the settlement had transformed. Water flowed steadily through the new canals, crops were protected, and the community felt a renewed sense of hope. Ilara looked at the smiling faces around her and felt a deep pride. This was what humans could do. They could face any challenge, not with brute force, but with cleverness, perseverance, and teamwork. Jax came to her side, wiping sweat from his brow. "You were right," he said. "Humans always find a way." Ilara smiled. "We don't give up easily. That's who we are." The settlers gathered around them, offering thanks and sharing small gifts of food and handmade tools. Ilara felt a warmth in her heart. She realized that this was more than helping a settlement. It was witnessing the spirit of humanity in action. As night fell, the twin moons of Arida 9 rose over the horizon, casting silver light over the desert. The settlement glowed softly, lanterns hanging from posts and windows, reflecting in the newly flowing water. Ilara and Jax sat on a small ridge, looking out over the transformed community. "You know," Jax said quietly, "it's moments like this that remind me why I stay here. Humans, no matter where we go, we make life better for each other. Even in the middle of nowhere, even on a desert world, we find a way to thrive." Ilara nodded. "And it's why I came back. I wanted to see it again. The ingenuity, the courage, the way humans don't just survive but build, create, and care. This is home. This is who we are." They sat together in silence for a while, watching the settlement buzz with renewed energy. Children laughed, adults worked with purpose, and small machines moved efficiently across the landscape. The desert was still harsh, still unforgiving, but humans had found a way to flourish. Ilara felt a deep sense of belonging. This was what she had missed: the resilience, the hope, and the quiet certainty that humans could overcome any challenge with heart and mind. And as she glanced at Jax, she realized something profound. Humans not only survive, they thrive, even in the most unlikely places. The night air was cool against her skin, and the stars above shone brighter than she had ever seen. She knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges, new problems to solve, and new opportunities to prove human ingenuity once again. But for tonight, she allowed herself to rest, to feel the satisfaction of a day well spent, and to remember that no matter the galaxy, humans always find a way. And beside her, Jack smiled. A quiet, knowing smile that said they had faced the desert together, that they had solved the problem, and that they would continue to face whatever the universe threw at them. Humanity, in all its brilliance, had triumphed again. The morning sun rose slowly over the desert of Arida 9, painting the settlement in soft shades of amber. Ilara stood on the ridge, looking down at the settlement she and Jax had helped stabilize. The water flowed steadily through the new canals, and the crops swayed gently in the morning breeze. For a moment, she allowed herself to breathe, feeling the satisfaction of a job well done. But in the distance, the horizon rippled strangely. A rising wall of sand glowed gold under the twin suns. Ilara squinted, her heart tightening. Sandstorms were common in the desert, but this one looked different, larger, more unpredictable. She turned to Jax, who had been surveying the settlement with his usual calm focus. "We need to prepare," she said, her voice steady but urgent. Jax nodded, already moving toward the center of the settlement. "Everyone will need shelter. The crops, the water systems, we have to protect them. Come on, Ilara." Together, they ran down the ridge and into the heart of the settlement. Humans, naturally resilient and quick to act, were already gathering supplies. Children helped carry water containers to safe spots. Adults reinforced walls and windows, and small robots scurried to assist wherever they could. Ilara felt a surge of pride. Humans always found a way, she thought. No matter the challenge, they adapted, planned, and worked together. This storm would be no different. "Let's divide tasks," Jax said, his voice calm but commanding. "Ilara, you organize the water systems. I'll handle the structural reinforcements. Everyone else follow instructions." Ilara nodded and quickly assessed the settlement's water supply. The new canals were efficient but vulnerable. If the storm breached them, It could destroy months of work. She directed the settlers to dig temporary trenches to divert excess water and built small sand barriers around the most sensitive areas. Use these containers, she instructed, handing out portable tanks. We'll store extra water here higher up where the wind and sand can't reach. Be careful, sand can clog the filters. Check every valve. The settlers moved with remarkable speed and cooperation. Humans were quick learners, able to take instructions and adapt them to the situation. Even the children helped by carrying small tools, relaying messages, and keeping spirits high with laughter and encouragement. Meanwhile, Jax worked tirelessly on the structural defenses. Using wood, metal, and flexible energy panels, he reinforced homes, market stalls, and the trading post. His experience in the harsh desert showed in every precise movement. He adjusted each panel to redirect wind, creating natural shields to protect the community. Alara moved from site to site, checking the water channels and helping wherever needed. She was impressed by how humans collaborated. Every problem was met with immediate solutions. Every challenge sparked creativity. Humans didn't just survive, they improved, adapted, and thrived. By midday, the first gusts of wind began to shake the settlement. Dust and sand whipped through the streets, carried by powerful currents. The twin suns cast long shadows as the storm approached, its roar growing louder with each passing minute. Alara and Jax remained calm, guiding the settlers through each step. "Stay inside the shelters," Jax called. "Secure all loose items. Keep the water flowing." Alara checked the filtration systems one last time. The portable tanks were full and the barriers were holding. The canals, reinforced with sandbags and temporary walls, diverted excess water safely. Every precaution they had taken now mattered more than ever. As the storm hit, the wind howled like a living creature, carrying fine particles of sand that stung exposed skin. The structures groaned under pressure, but the human-built reinforcements held. Alara moved through the shelters, comforting children and offering encouragement to adults. "We've done everything we can," she said. "Trust the systems and trust each other. We'll get through this." Hours passed. The storm raged with relentless force, yet the settlement endured. Humans, with their clever solutions and teamwork, had minimized damage. Some rooftops needed repair, and a few small canals had overflowed, but overall, the community was safe. Jax appeared at her side, his face dusted with sand but his smile steady. "You see, humans always find a way," he said, his voice carrying the quiet confidence that had reassured her so many times before. Alara nodded. "Yes. Even when the desert tries to break us, we keep moving, keep building, keep surviving." As the storm began to subside, the settlers emerged from their shelters, blinking in the bright sunlight. Children ran to check on their plants and adults assessed the structures, finding them surprisingly intact. There was a cheer, quiet at first, then louder, a sound of relief and pride. Humans had endured once more. Alara watched the scene unfold, feeling a deep sense of connection. This was the essence of humanity: courage, intelligence, and collaboration in the face of challenges. No alien planet, no harsh desert, no storm could extinguish the spark of human ingenuity. After the storm passed, Alara and Jax walked through the streets, helping with minor repairs. They encouraged settlers, shared tips, and marveled at the clever ways humans had adapted to protect themselves and their resources. At the trading post, Jax leaned against a reinforced wall and looked out over the settlement. "You know, every time I think we've done enough, the universe throws something new at us. But somehow, we always manage. Humans have this spark. Something other species don't always understand." Alara smiled. "It's our creativity, our ability to cooperate, and our determination. We don't just survive, we adapt, we improve, we inspire each other." The settlers gathered around, grateful for the guidance and leadership. Some brought small gifts, others offered thanks, and many shared stories of the storm. Children ran about, pointing to the parts of the settlement that had held strong. There was laughter, hope, and an unspoken understanding that they were part of something larger than themselves, a human community capable of facing any challenge. As evening fell, the twin moons rose once again, casting silver light across the desert. Alara and Jack sat on the ridge overlooking the settlement. The water reflected the moons, the crops swayed gently, and the community buzzed with renewed energy. "We did well today," Jack said, his voice quiet. "Humans, no matter the odds, find a way. That's why I stay here, why I keep building, why I keep believing." Alara nodded. "And that's why I came back. I needed to see it again, to feel it again. Humans are extraordinary. We endure, we thrive, and we lift each other up, even in the harshest conditions." They sat in silence, watching the stars begin to fill the sky. The desert, once intimidating and unforgiving, now seemed alive with possibility. Humans had faced the storm, protected their settlement, and proven that even in a harsh universe, determination and collaboration could overcome any obstacle. Alara felt a deep sense of belonging. This place, these people, and the work they did together reminded her of something she had almost forgotten: the power of human resilience. And as she looked at Jax, smiling quietly beside her, she realized that humans didn't just survive. They created hope, beauty, and life, no matter where they were. The night was calm, the storm behind them, and the settlement safe. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but Alara felt ready. Together with Jax and the settlers, they would continue to face the desert, the universe, and any obstacle that came their way. Humans always found a way, and that, she knew, was their greatest strength. The desert was calm in the morning, the twin suns of Arida 9 rising slowly, casting long shadows across the sands. After the storm, the settlement buzzed with activity. Children ran to check the canals, adults repaired small damages, and the crops swayed gently in the cool morning breeze. Alara stepped outside, feeling the warmth of the sun on her face. Jax was already at the edge of the settlement, scanning the horizon. His brow was furrowed, his eyes focused. "There's something unusual," he said quietly when Alara approached. "I saw strange reflections in the sand during the storm, water maybe, or something else. I want to investigate." Alara's curiosity sparked. An oasis. Hidden water would be a huge benefit for the settlement. Jax nodded. "Exactly, but it could be dangerous if we don't plan carefully. Let's gather a team." By mid-morning, Alara, Jax, and a small group of settlers equipped with tools, supplies, and portable sensors set out toward the area Jax had spotted. The sand stretched endlessly, shifting beneath their boots and occasionally forming small dunes. The settlers moved with determination, guided by Jax's knowledge of the terrain and Alara's experience with observation and planning. As they approached the site, the sand began to shimmer strangely under the suns. Alara's sensors picked up faint traces of water below the surface. "It's real," she said. "There's a hidden water source here. If we can reach it safely, it could transform this settlement." Jack smiled, his eyes lighting up with the same spark she remembered from their first meeting. "Then let's find it, carefully." They worked methodically, digging trenches and using portable scanners to map the underground water. The settlers were cautious but enthusiastic. Every discovery was met with awe and excitement, small moments of joy amid the hard work. Humans, Alara thought, were remarkable. They faced challenges not with fear but with curiosity, creativity, and cooperation. Hours passed, and the sun rose high in the sky. Sweat dripped from their foreheads, but their efforts paid off. They uncovered a small underground reservoir, hidden beneath layers of sand and rock. The water was clear and cool, a precious gift in the harsh desert environment. Alara carefully tested the water and confirmed it was safe. "This is incredible," she said, her voice full of excitement. "We can redirect it to the settlement and even expand our crops. This could change everything." Jax nodded. "We need to be smart about it." Let's set up controlled channels and make sure we don't waste a drop. The desert is generous if we respect it. The settlers worked together to build channels and small storage tanks, carefully guiding the water toward the settlement. Alara supervised, ensuring the system was efficient and sustainable. Every decision was a balance between human needs and respect for the environment. As they worked, Alara noticed something else: the joy and pride on the faces of the settlers. Children ran alongside the channels, checking the flow of water, while adults exchanged ideas on how to expand the farm plots. Humans, she realized again, thrived not just on survival, but on creativity, problem-solving, and shared purpose. By late afternoon, the system was operational. Water flowed steadily from the hidden oasis into the settlement. The canals glistened in the sunlight, and the crops stood taller and healthier than ever. The settlers gathered to celebrate, offering thanks and sharing stories of the discovery. Alara and Jack stood together, watching the community come alive with renewed energy. "Humans are amazing," she said softly. "We face the harshest environments and still find a way to create life and hope," Jack smiled. "And we do it together. That's what makes us strong." After the initial excitement, they returned to the settlement to check on other projects. Alara noticed small improvements the settlers had made during the day: new irrigation techniques, clever shading devices for the crops, and even small storage systems for excess water. Humans didn't just survive, they innovated, improved, and shared knowledge with each other. Alara felt a deep sense of pride. She had traveled the stars and seen distant colonies, yet there was something uniquely human about these simple acts of ingenuity and cooperation. No alien technology, no advanced machine, could replace the creativity, determination, and heart of people working together. As the suns began to set, painting the desert in golden-orange hues, Alara and Jack sat on the ridge once more, looking out over the settlement. "We've done well," Jack said, his voice quiet but content. "The oasis will support this place for years to come." Alara nodded. "It's not just the water, it's the people. They keep improving, keep building, keep finding ways to thrive. That's the real strength here." Jax looked at her, his eyes reflecting the light of the setting suns. "You've changed too," he said. "Traveling the stars has made you stronger, wiser, but you still see what makes humans special." Alara smiled. "And I never forgot. Humans survive because we think, we adapt, we care for each other. That's why we endure." They sat in companionable silence, watching the moons rise over the desert. The settlement glowed softly in the evening light, lanterns reflecting in the canals. The air was cool and quiet, and for the first time in days, Alara felt completely at peace. Suddenly, a sound caught her attention, a soft hum coming from the direction of the oasis. She turned to see one of the young settlers holding a small device, scanning the water. "Look," he exclaimed, "something's moving under the surface." Alara and Jax approached carefully. The scanner showed faint energy readings beneath the water, patterns that suggested life of some sort, small, bioluminescent organisms thriving in the hidden reservoir. The discovery sparked excitement. Humans didn't just find resources, they observed, learned, and shared knowledge. "This is incredible," Alara said. "Life adapting to the desert, hidden for who knows how long. We can study it, learn from it, and maybe even improve the water systems further." Jax nodded, a grin spreading across his face. "Humans explore, humans adapt, humans understand. We see possibilities others might miss." The settlers gathered around, eager to learn and contribute. Together, they devised a plan to monitor the oasis, ensure the water remained clean, and study the organisms without disturbing the delicate balance. It was another example of human ingenuity and care, a small community tackling a challenge with intelligence, cooperation, and respect for life. Night fell fully, and the twin moons of Arida 9 reflected in the calm water of the canals. Alara walked along the edge of the settlement, feeling a profound connection to this place, these people, and the universe itself. Humans had carved a life here against the odds, and she was proud to be part of it. Jax joined her, offering a simple gesture, a hand extended in friendship and partnership. "We've done well today," he said softly. "Tomorrow we'll see what else is possible." Alara took his hand, feeling the warmth and certainty that came from knowing they could face anything together. "Humans always find a way," she said, "and together we can do anything." The desert night was quiet, yet alive. Stars twinkled above, and the settlement glowed with life and hope. Alara knew that the oasis was more than water. It was proof of human perseverance, intelligence, and heart. And as she looked at Jax, she realized that human strength wasn't just in survival. It was in discovery, cooperation, and the quiet, persistent belief that every challenge could be met with courage and creativity. The night passed peacefully, and the settlement slept, secure in the knowledge that humans had once again overcome the harsh desert and found life, hope, and opportunity. Alara knew that the universe held countless challenges ahead, but with humans like these, and with people like Jax by her side, she felt ready for anything. Humans were remarkable, and she was proud to witness it, and even prouder to be one. As she lay under the twin moons, the desert cool against her skin, Alara whispered to herself, "We endure, we adapt, we thrive, that's who we are." And for the first time in years, she felt completely, undeniably at home. The twin suns of Arida 9 rose slowly, spilling golden light across the settlement. The desert no longer seemed harsh or empty. It was alive, vibrant, and filled with promise. The water from the hidden oasis flowed gently through the canals, nourishing crops that stood taller and healthier than ever. Alara stepped outside the trading post, taking a deep breath of warm desert air. The night had been calm, peaceful, and full of hope. She could hear children laughing as they ran through the streets, adults tending to their gardens, and small drones humming quietly as they carried supplies from one building to another. Humans had turned the desert into a thriving oasis, and she felt a deep pride swelling within her. Jax approached from the ridge, his boots crunching softly on the sand. His hat was slightly tilted back, and his broad smile greeted her like the sun itself. "Ready for today?" he asked. Alara nodded. "Absolutely. There's still so much we can do here." Together, they walked through the settlement, checking on the improvements the community had made. Children were learning to monitor water flow using small sensors. Adults experimented with new irrigation methods, and even the smallest improvements in energy efficiency were celebrated as victories. Humans, Alara realized, were extraordinary not because of strength or technology alone, but because of their curiosity, creativity, and determination. "Look at them," Jax said softly, his eyes bright. "Every challenge we face, they've grown stronger. They adapt. They learn. That's what makes us human." Alara smiled, watching a young girl adjust a small solar panel to capture more sunlight for the water pumps. "We don't just survive," she said. "We build, we improve, we create hope even in the middle of a desert." Their morning was interrupted by the arrival of a new group of travelers. These were merchants and engineers from nearby colonies, drawn by news of the thriving settlement. Their eyes widened as they took in the canals, the crops, and the bustling market. "This is incredible," one of the engineers said. "We've heard stories, but seeing it for ourselves, humans really can turn a desert into life." Alara and Jax exchanged a quiet glance. Their hearts swelled with pride. Humans didn't just talk about survival, they acted. They transformed challenges into opportunities, deserts into oases, and dreams into reality. Jax stepped forward, greeting the travelers. "We've built this place together. There's room for everyone to learn, contribute, and thrive. Humans help each other, and we never give up." Alara joined him. "We've learned that no matter where we are in the galaxy, the same principles apply. Curiosity, collaboration, and care for each other. These are the keys to survival and growth." The visitors marveled at the ingenuity of the settlers. They studied the water channels, the solar panels, and even the bioluminescent organisms thriving in the hidden oasis. Every detail demonstrated human intelligence and adaptability. As the day progressed, Alara and Jax worked alongside the visitors, sharing techniques, offering advice, and learning new ideas in return. Humans were remarkable at improving together, every mind, every skill, every idea contributing to the greater good. By afternoon, the settlement had grown even more vibrant. New buildings were constructed with sustainable materials. Extra water storage tanks ensured safety against future storms, and more plots of land were cultivated with crops. Children and adults alike moved with purpose, their faces lit with pride and satisfaction. Alara took a moment to step back and look at the community. "We've created something extraordinary," she said quietly. "Not just water or crops or buildings, but a place where humans can thrive, where every person contributes, where hope and ingenuity flourish." Jax nodded. "And this is only the beginning. Humans never stop growing. We see opportunities, we take risks, and we never stop learning. That's why we survive, and that's why we thrive." As the twin suns began to set, the settlement glowed in warm orange and gold. Lanterns reflected in the water, children's laughter echoed across the canals, and the gentle hum of machines filled the air. The desert, once harsh and unforgiving, had become a living testament to human determination. Alara and Jax stood on the ridge once more, looking out at what they had helped build. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" Alara asked. "All the time," Jax replied. "From the first day we met to now, humans have always found a way. Every problem, every challenge, every setback, we adapt, we improve, we rise above." Alara smiled. "And we do it together. That's the key, isn't it? Humans aren't just strong or clever, we're connected. We care. We help each other, and that makes us unstoppable." Jax looked at her, his smile warm and familiar. "You've come a long way too, Alara. Traveling the stars, facing unknown worlds, you've grown stronger, wiser. And yet, you never forget what makes humans special." Alara felt a deep warmth in her chest. She remembered her journey across the galaxy, the loneliness, the wonders, the challenges. But now she knew what truly mattered: connection, courage, and the quiet, persistent belief in human potential. The night air was cool and calm. Stars twinkled above, bright against the dark sky. The settlement glowed with life, a beacon in the vast desert. Alara felt a sense of peace she had not known for years. She had returned home, not just to a place, but to the people, the values, and the spirit that defined humanity. Jax leaned close. "We've built more than a settlement," he said softly. "We've built a future. Humans will thrive here for generations because we see what's possible and we work for it." Alara nodded, taking in the view of canals, crops, and glowing lanterns. "And the best part is, this isn't just ours. Every human who comes here will carry what we've learned, improve on it, and keep the cycle going. Humans always find a way, and we always pass it on." The community gathered for the evening celebration, a tradition that had started after the storm. Food was shared, songs were sung, and stories of survival, creativity, and hope were exchanged. Alara and Jax joined in, listening, smiling, and sharing laughter. Humans didn't just build settlements, they built culture, shared experiences, and passed down wisdom. As the evening wore on, Alara found herself sitting quietly beside Jax on a small ridge overlooking the settlement. The twin moons rose once again, casting silver light across the desert. "Do you ever wonder what the universe would be like if everyone could see humans the way we see ourselves?" Alara asked. Jax chuckled softly. "They'd be amazed. Humans aren't just survivors, we're creators, thinkers, explorers. We lift each other up, even in impossible places. That's what makes us extraordinary," Alara nodded. "And we never stop. That's what gives me hope. No matter what the galaxy throws at us, we'll always find a way to endure, to build, and to thrive." Jax looked at her, his expression soft but certain. "And sometimes," he said, "we find people like each other along the way, friends, partners, allies, people who make the journey not just bearable but meaningful, like us." Alara smiled, feeling the truth of his words. She had traveled across the stars, faced loneliness, and learned about distant worlds. But it was connection, shared purpose, and human ingenuity that had brought her home. Together, they watched the moons reflect in the calm water, the settlement alive with light and life. The desert was no longer a harsh, empty place. It was full of opportunity, creativity, and hope. Humans had turned a barren land into a thriving community, proving once again that no matter the challenge, humanity could adapt, improve, and flourish. Alara felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had come back expecting to find someone she remembered, uncertain if she would be recognized. Instead, she had found a home, a purpose, and a vivid reminder of what humans could accomplish. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "we'll continue building. More crops, better systems, more life. Humans never stop, and neither will we." Jack smiled, his eyes reflecting the twin moons. "We'll face it together as humans always do. We endure, we adapt, and we thrive. That's who we are." As the night deepened and the stars sparkled above, Alara realized she had finally returned to where she belonged. The settlement, the oasis, and the people, this was home. Humanity, with its courage, intelligence, and heart, had proven itself once again. And beside Jax, she knew the future would be bright, full of challenges to overcome, discoveries to make, and a community to nurture. The desert was quiet, the water flowed steadily, and the settlement glimmered with hope. Alara took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the desert night and the certainty that humans, no matter the galaxy, would always find a way. And in that moment she smiled, not as the girl who left, but as the woman who had returned, stronger, wiser, and fully alive in the brilliance of humanity. Humans endure, humans adapt, humans thrive, and the future they built would shine across the stars.